standards, this is called modeling.
I want you to use this logic to solve this problem using logs.
Modeling is an important part of instruction in Jose Rios' algebra and trigonometry class. Today, his students are using logarithms to figure out how long it will take an $8 allowance to grow into 20.
I'm trying to take things about allowance, money, things that they like, things that they may know about, things they may be curious about. And the core is informing my decision to do it that way. The point is to make it a deeper experience for a student, not just formulas, something that they can take with them, that they will hold on to, that they can see how math is used in a daily way.
20. We're looking for $20. So how many years?
The 20 is between 5 and 6 years.
Between 5 and 6 years.
Yeah.
That's how long it's going to take for $8 in your allowance to become
$20.
Thank you so much, Kajins. Look, everybody, we took this tough problem and we made it into an algebraic problem.
I think students are seeing that is willing to go that extra step to have them really apply something that we've learned to something in the real world, something that maybe they've never seen before, something that's richer, something that's a little more profound.
We had a very similar experience in our classroom. You know, we saw them taking part. We saw them getting pretty deep into what we were looking for. Because they were working so hard on it, it actually took us longer than we wanted to take, but that was good learning, and that's what we really wanted to achieve.
The standards writers say this is key. Too often they say math standards actually incorporate too much material, which teachers and students end up racing through. The Common Core standards are designed to be fewer and clearer so teachers can slow down and ensure students gain a deeper understanding.
What impact did clashing values have on European imperialism in Africa?
David Riesenfeld is one of those social studies teachers. He's leading the Common Core pilot here at Robert Wagner, a secondary school of about 550 students, also in Queens, New York. Riesenfeld is focusing on the standard sections that require identifying points of view and citing textual evidence.
Well, what do we have to do to debate it? What kinds of things must we have?
We need facts.
Okay, good. So we need, and what do we use for facts? What's that word that we tend to talk about? Evidence. Good. So we're talking about we have to use evidence. And it's important, guys, because this does hit on one of the standards that we're focusing on, which is citing evidence from the things that we get our information from. So the nice thing about this is that there's a heavy component in these standards that try to address the things that kids are going to need to know as they walk into any aspect of life. So whether you're doing a career track or a college track, you're going to have to know how to communicate certain things in certain ways. I mean, anywhere from the auto mechanic to the university professor, we're going to have to look at how kids can take information that they're presented with, whether it's a manual or an academic text, and understand what to do with it.
To prepare for today's history class on European imperialism in Africa, Riesenfeld's 10th graders studied photos and illustrations from an eyewitness book on Africa, read an essay by 16th century social reformer Bartolomé de las Casas, and read excerpts from the novel Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe, a complex text recommended in the standards appendix. They must now use what they've read in a class debate. On one side, the European imperialists. On the other, the indigenous Africans.
The way they went about things in like torturous ways and cruel ways, that's not the way you do things.
Agriculture has been working the way it has been from hundreds of years, and we're not struggling.
So let's say your crops get infected with some disease, how are you going to eat?
And that's when
There'll be a famine.
But then the way you do it, you just come in and kill everybody and take the land for your benefit, not to help us.
Jennifer Apodaca is a consultant who's working with teachers at Robert Wagner on the Literacy Pilot Program.
I thought the questions that you prepared were extremely focused. I felt that every kid was able to articulate something very different and distinct, which is what we've been wanting them to do, is to engage in that material. I think the facts were there, but I think it could have been much more specific.
I absolutely agree. I think that there wasn't as much. They didn't go back to the facts that they have.
Maybe you want to say, use these sources. So maybe you have to specify, like, you must use information from the following documents.
No matter where you go, guys, this stuff is going to be extremely important.
Riesenfeld is a fan of the new standards, which have pushed him to try new things in the classroom, like asking different types of questions, stepping back as the facilitator, and getting the kids to come up with the information rather than handing it to them. But changing the way he teaches has not been easy.
I think it's been kind of a roller coaster a little bit. You know, when we first started out, I was a little uncomfortable with it. I kind of held on to some of my old ideas about things. It's like I remember our first conversations at the beginning of the year, and they weren't the happiest conversations.
You're much happier now, I
Right.
have to say.
I mean, it
You
wasn't.
really are.
I had the resistance. You know, I didn't really let my guard down. But the evidence that we're seeing in terms of the improvement in writing, improvement in communication, I see that the kids are starting to rise to some of the objectives that we're setting.